Go live on Facebook. Flip back here. Touch this. Ugh. Everybody wants to message me on Facebook, of course. There we go. All right. Let me hit record. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. And, of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. A few minutes getting late started for the live audience. Sorry about that. Rob had a conflicting event. People love to talk, don't they?
Yes, they do. It's awesome.
And I found a buzz, so I gotta move my Rodecaster power supply. It got close to something, and I said, okay, what did I add recently that is the problem? And I kicked the power supply, and the buzz went away. So it was close to some wire, as the case. But anyway, it's just life on live.
Yes, it is. Always fun.
And
always on the edge.
And you
all
do
the
sound
time.
fantastic. So you said you made some more tweaks on your side too, right?
Yeah, I've been adjusting. Like my background's different. I'm trying to get some.
The cat picture's gone.
Yeah, get some different lighting in here. Get the distance between things, and so trying to change it up a little bit.
Oh, good.
Always trying to make things better.
Yeah.
How that goes.
Yep, and it's a never-ending saga. So,
Right.
yeah, I have to. You guys that have cats are going to appreciate this. I have this very beautiful sound conditioning paneling in the studio, and on the one wall, it looks just like cat scratch pad. Like where they go scratch their claws. Oh, I'm not happy.
Scratches on it, right?
Yep, it costing me some money, so I'm going to have to replace a couple of panels and and put up some sort of barrier so that they can't redo the damage. It's on the corner. And they get on the corner and they stretch out and they like to. So they just cost me a couple $100. So, cats are cats.
Yes, they are. They definitely like to stretch their claws out. I've had many cats over the years. So
yeah. And I think it's cruel to have them declawed. So I'm not going to do that. And I know some people do that because they can't handle it. The furniture gets tore up, but it is what it is. But anyway, enough on cats. Those of you who have dogs are laughing, but dogs, instead of scratching the walls or scratching stuff, they just tear up sofas.
Especially if they're a breed that likes to dig
and chew and everything else.
Chew, yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's just a non-stop stream of stuff going on in the space, right? I mean, the podcasting space, I guess Google Podcasts is testing personalized episode recommendations, stuff like that. I saw that in the news today.
I keep saying Google is, they're gonna make their impact.
Yeah, and they're sitting in a very good position to do so. That's for sure.
I think I've got. I hear you in 1 year. It's on my end. About every year, I have to replace this cable that I'm showing you, Rob.
What's that?
I roll over this thing. It's this cable that connects into my headphone cable, and I roll over this with my chair.
Right. Oh, and it squashes.
And then at some point, it says, "I'm done playing your games," and ends up in the trash. I just it's really not surprising. I think it's kind of funny. You and I both had a phone call today with Lindsay at Pandora because he told me to say, anyway. So anyway,
right.
You went first and I went second, and looks like they're staying busy too and ramping up.
Oh yeah. Well, if you think about all the companies that they merged with or purchased or acquired or whatever you want to call it, they definitely have had their hands full trying to sort all that out and get a cohesive strategy together and get the staffing of that. I would think that the staffing part of it was probably the more challenging end of it.
Maybe it's a worldwide issue right now. And of course this has nothing to do with anything, but I had taken my snow tires off my car today. Had the place I go to, they store my summer treads, and then I go in there and change to winter treads. And I was talking with the guy, and he pays $23 an hour, and here in my little town, and he can't get help.
Really?
Can't get help. And of course, working in a tire place is dirty.
Oh, that's hard
Dirty,
work too,
it's,
right?
and and you're, well, it's steady, but at $23 an hour, and he's just frustrated. The only people he can hire is old people. He can't hire young people because they come in and work for a day and they leave. So I wonder, and maybe
Hmm.
this isn't the case, Pandora would be more blue collar type stuff, but I just wonder if these companies are having a hard time finding people.
Could be.
And of
Could
course,
be.
it's a unique,
Yeah.
I guess for a better word, skill set. So it's just like we don't want to spend 6 months training someone to come up to speed on something. So, but therein lies the opportunity, I guess. And for those of you that are in the podcasting space and want to make it a full time gig, I think people should be watching these companies' listings for job listings.
Oh, I think that there's lots of jobs. I mean, just look at the Pod News newsletter that comes out every day. I mean, there's jobs and jobs and jobs listed in there. But I think you do need to have some relevant experience
Right, you
in
do.
podcasting to qualify for a lot of these jobs. It's not like they're necessarily easy jobs because a lot of them are around content, which is those can be difficult jobs. Todd, I also noticed that the Riverside FM now have an iPhone app.
Yes, they did. I knew this was coming,
Yeah.
and so it's in beta.
Hmm.
So they're seeing how it's going to work with a bigger mass of people. So
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting that, well, maybe that'll up the quality for people that are calling in. They're doing
Right.
someone doing an interview on an iPhone.
And I guess it also supports a video as well, right?
Right.
So, I'm actually looking at it right now in the App Store. I haven't loaded it on my phone, but it certainly looks like an interesting direction. And I do think, and this is part of a broader conversation, that I think over the next few years, I think we're going to see more and more tools come to the mobile devices for creating podcasts.
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
think the creation tools are going to probably really evolve over the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To Because I do think that there's a good chance that Mac OS and Windows and whatever are going to merge into a more of a mobile operating system.
Well,
I think if you look to the future.
but if you look at not just that, if you look at what Anchor did and making that mobile app,
Yeah.
making it easier to record a podcast. Now, I think a lot of those podcasters find out pretty quickly those may not be the quality they need to be. And it's largely because of the equipment they're recording on with their phone, because there are now good mics to hook to a mobile device. So you can up your game in the audio quality.
Well, I think
So
more and more of the hardware. I mean, the Rodecaster Pro is a good example of that. I mean, you can plug your iPhone directly into that, and to be able to, can you produce high quality audio content through that going into your iPhone? I think it's definitely more and more possible to use a mobile device or an iPad as your primary, method of recording.
well,
And
it would be
yeah.
interesting to try and have your iPhone plugged into your Rodecaster, then have someone use their phone
Hmm.
with either earbuds or a good mic, and then just see
Right.
how good it was over the phone lines. I don't know if that's going to be any better than what we may have heard over at Clubhouse, but if you have an app for that,
Well, if it's an IP call, if it's done over, like FaceTime or
right.
done over some other more digital app, not a cell phone call.
But they
Yeah.
still limit the audio quality even on FaceTime, and they reserve
Yeah.
bandwidth for the video versus the audio. So
Right. Right.
so
So
it
I don't,
you know
I
what
don't know. It's an interesting kind of hybrid, but in this Riverside thing, how we get audio into more professional production processes utilizing these tools too. I think it's a frontier because I mean, like Todd, you're still using this very expensive
right.
kind of studio setup.
Sure.
I've got I've got, a more, well, I guess it's more of a next generation kind of studio setup
You've
with
got
my
a
Rodecaster.
$1,200 sitting there in
Right,
connectivity. So,
right.
so you still have to spend some money. And if
Yeah.
you really want to go to the lowest common denominator, you can probably do it for under $50
Hmm.
into an iPhone with something decent.
Right.
But
You just use, like, like one of
right,
these,
right.
just plug it directly into your iPhone and
And
you can, you can
t-
record.
tell everybody what you're holding up.
That's the, Shure MV7, which has a USB based connection on the back. So you can plug that directly into your iPhone
Yep.
and actually have a high quality audio
So
going in.
and I think too, not every podcaster is going to buy one of those because they're like 260, something like that.
250, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they probably still, I don't know. You can use the ATR with your mobile
Yeah,
phone. I think you can. So
yeah, sure.
using Audio
For
Technica,
75 or $80, right?
right?
You
So you
can
can
get
go
something
cheaper.
there.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
or the Samsung Q2U, which is
yep.
another one, and that's like $60.
So I think you can get, and I think what Riverside has realized that they've got something kind of special over there because you and I use Riverside quite a bit already,
Hmm.
and the master is recorded on your desktop and then
Right.
uploaded to Riverside. Actually, it's being uploaded the entire time you're doing the show. Meanwhile, they're capturing a master copy on their side, but with this new mobile, I'm really kind of curious to check it out because I'm almost sure that you're going to want to have a good Wi-Fi connection. Because if they're doing the same thing, if they're recording the master on the phone
Right.
and then sending the audio and video back to Riverside,
Hmm.
that's generally, if you think about doing that on a just your mobile connection, that might get ugly real quick. If you're doing audio only, maybe not so bad, but still, if the master copy is kept on the Riverside app and then progressively uploaded for production purposes, then you're going to have a much, 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 much better quality recording, and that's really their claim to fame here.
Well, yeah, and then you have a second layer here of the post production. What's the audio editing capability? uh, the Riverside FM doesn't have audio editing, so you would have to export that file out of the system, bring it into an editing suite, right? And if you're doing everything on your iPhone, how are you able to edit? I know that there's editing suites you can get for your iPhone as
I
well, or
I
your
don't think
iPad.
I think you as a host still have to be on the dashboard. I don't think you as a host can. It's only for guests. You can't you can't launch. I think only guests are being directed in on the. You still have to be on your desktop. So you're not going to be editing on your phone because your guests are going to be the ones that are going to only be the ones calling in, not the master producer.
Right. No, but I'm talking about after you've recorded
Yeah.
everything, you're still going to need to edit it
Right.
potentially. I
Right.
mean, some people don't, right?
Yeah, they provide a
Right.
combined, or you can download the two
Hmm.
masters from the two
Right.
devices and then edit it in your normal audio editing software. But if
Right.
I was a betting man, I would bet Riverside will have editing tools soon.
Hmm.
Just seems like the next
Next
jump to
step.
me for
Right.
them. But
Right.
who knows? We'll see what they come up with.
And I guess you can get, I'm assuming you can get a mouse type of experience in your iPhone. Does a mouse work in your iPhone? I've never tried it. I've,
Uh, your
I've never
finger is
tried
the mouse.
no, I know, but could you use something
Oh, I
similar
don't think so. Everything is done
to
by
a mouse,
everything is
right?
done by you
By finger
scrubber by
touch.
finger by finger
Hmm.
scrubbers and all that. Yep. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
actual OS. There's no, yeah, it's not the
I'm just,
same.
yeah, I just wanted, it's probably harder to do more precise editing with your finger than it is with a pointer, though.
Well, I think some people are doing editing their shows on an iPad, or
I suppose if you use like maybe like a stylus or something like that,
yeah,
you
maybe.
might be able to get more precise.
Well, you can zoom and you do all that stuff that you normally do with a
Yeah,
mouse. So I
yeah.
wouldn't want to edit audio on an iPad personally, but there's no reason why you couldn't edit on a Chromebook or something like that. But
Mhm.
I don't think there's a lot of people doing that either.
No, I just wonder as you look to the future, though,
Oh, I'm
if
sure.
there's going to be more and more people wanting to edit on these mobile devices.
What does that
Um,
say then for pro production people? I think, are they still going to have a job?
well, I guess if you if you just want to record and then you want to hand it off to someone else to
Yeah.
do all the editing, then yeah, it's there's still going to be a market for the high end editing software and desktops and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I was reading too a different topic here,
Hmm.
um, where they announced that Amazon Music Podcasters portal has been quietly launched. And it says grow your audience, Amazon Music. So I thought that this site already existed. So let me go in and look at how this works. Add your podcast. My podcast is already added. I should be showing this on the screen. Let me do that.
Hmm.
Wrong one.
Yeah, I won't be able to see it.
Yeah. I can not fat finger this. So I've just entered my podcast. I got to select which country, United States. And it should say you're already on here. Oh, to verify ownership, you'll need to access the email associated with this podcast. Yes, send confirmation email. Okay, so let me go over to, well, let me bring this off so you guys don't show my email. And verify ownership on Amazon. Confirm ownership. I just did. If your podcast is new, our catalog should print Amazon Music in within 20. Once it's live, you should receive an email. But I've already added. So it allows me to add another podcast. But we've already. I thought there was maybe this is something new. Maybe this is. Did Amazon have a portal prior to this, Rob?
I don't think that they've announced it. If they did,
Well, it's been found.
it's been found now, right?
Yeah. So let me go over here and grab the audio version of the new media show. Copy link. Whoops. I go over here. Oh, if the conference says you click I did confirm. Oh, over here, you're all set. Add another show because we're already in there. This podcast is already available. Isn't that interesting? So let me go ahead and send confirmation email. Well, that's what it looks like for those of you that are. It just comes as a simple email. Here's another. Okay, here's the confirm ownership. All right. So now what? Let's go back to podcasters.amazon.com and has podcaster FAQ, promotional tools. What kind of promotional tools? Social templating. It's got banners. It's got a terms and conditions. Yeah, I'm just a little confused because maybe what they've done here is set this up so people can directly now sit to Amazon instead of going through your hosting provider. So
what's the main address
it's
for that?
podcasters.amazon.com. So, yeah. So, again, but my show, Geek News Central, was already on Amazon, so I'm confused why it didn't recognize it. Eileen says in the chat room, Anchor doesn't currently have Amazon as a destination. Well, now that's going to be changed with this new. They'll write a script to automatically submit shows, and then once again, everyone will have their email addresses verified as an Anchor address, and people will lose access to their podcast. And we'll be dealing with that. So
we shall see, right?
We shall see. And we'll see what Amazon starts providing back. See, it's kind of weird because we're already on Amazon, so I don't quite understand why it took the first. Let me go over to Amazon Music.
So you're trying to claim?
No, it let me submit.
The podcast?
It let me submit Geek News Central, and I'm already
there. Oh, so what you're saying is it's not checking for dupes.
Well, it did on the New Media Show.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's even more bizarre.
That is interesting.
Because if I go back to geeknewscentral.com and let me click on the good old Amazon, let's see, where's the Amazon?
Well, which feed? Because I know you have a video feed and an audio
feed. Well, I
feed.
submitted the audio feed. So, and they are using the audio feed. So let's see if this will load.
So are you showing this on the screen?
Yes, I'm showing my Amazon.com listing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting Here's an interesting thing that's something that's new. They are now using the Apple Podcast. That's something new. They used to show in my RS, because what I do for this show and for my other show is that the blog will show the episode title and number. I use the Apple Podcast tags for episode title and episode number, and now the Amazon site is strictly showing the Apple, not showing the episode number anymore. So that's a change. Amazon has adopted the Apple Podcast namespace for the title of the episode.
For the numbering of the episodes.
Right. And of course, the show is on both Amazon Music and Amazon on Audible as well. And you can find it on Amazon if you search Amazon.
Right.
Huh. And they knew who the author is. It says the author is me. Let's see what else it says for my name. Oh, and what's kind of funny here, Rob, this is even the more, it actually links up my podcasting book. So it knows enough to know that I also am an author.
Interesting.
Yes, it is. Let's see here. Let's search for it. And if I search for Geek News Central on Amazon.com, it comes up. Of course, we've talked about this before already. It comes up as a listing, costing 0 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're all ready to go there, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. Just put a price tag on it. Yeah. Yes, Eileen, I know that your email address is listed on Anchor podcast feed, but the majority are not. Hundreds and thousands are not. So therein lies the problem. So she said she submitted her show to the portal. So I guess that's for those that aren't directly integrated. You have a direct way to submit to Amazon. So therein lies and I wonder how I didn't know about this portal coming up. So I'll just be frank. I'm not breaking any NDAs because I wasn't told that this was coming personally. So.
Hey, Todd, did you know, and maybe this is old news, but that Google Podcasts has an iOS app? Have you known that for a while?
I think so.
Trying to, because
Mm,
I'm looking at it right now. That the Google Podcasts app is available on the iOS App Store.
yeah, I think I knew that.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't
Um,
sure if I
there's
knew
so
that
much
or
stuff
not.
that goes on. We just,
Yeah. So Google Podcasts is in both Android and iOS.
I'm going to go ahead and get it right now. I'm going to grab it because I didn't have it installed. I've got every other one of
Yeah,
them.
I didn't have it either. So I assumed that it was only in the Android side.
And what's interesting, it's got 3.2, 3200, 4.7, what is their average? 4.7 rating.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's the rating for the Apple Podcasts app?
I don't know. But it's been out for more than a year. So
Okay.
the version history goes back a year ago.
Okay. I'll
You have to play around with it.
have to play around with that. I'm a little behind the times on that one.
Oh, it does make you sign in, which is interesting. It makes you link your Google account to it. You just can't use it.
Right. But I can see all my subscriptions that I have in the browser. So as long as you're logged into the browser in Chrome.
Yeah, I've got two. Oh, it did. It says I'm subscribed. So I searched for it, and it came up subscribed. So it knows. It was smart enough to know from the browser to the app, at
Right.
least here. And maybe this is not. Everyone's just rolling their eyeballs here because like
Yeah.
where the heck have you guys been?
Right. That's exactly what I'm worried about. but but it is cool to see Google kind of linking all this together
But
in the Google Podcasts area. So if you go to podcast.google.com
yeah,
and then linking that with their app, so you can listen in your browser.
yep,
Plus, you can listen off of your search results.
yep,
Plus, you can listen in apps on
yep,
iOS and Android.
yep. Triple play there.
So
So
they've got it all covered.
so one
Yeah.
thing I did find interesting here is I searched for my show on the app. Of course, my show came up first. My special media feed came up second. Then a show completely non-related to mine, Podcast Insider episode I was interviewed on here a couple of weeks ago, something on Pod News. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've been on that is related in that search. So it's just not, and I wouldn't have expected it to come up because they were using my name, not my show name. So they know they know who the author of the show is, and then they show related episodes that they actually spelled my name out in as on the actual search results,
Right.
which I find to be quite fascinating. So, and I think that happens maybe, I don't know if that happens on Apple Podcast or not. So is there actually a way to see the rating of Apple Podcast on Apple because it comes preloaded? I don't know if you,
think you can do I would think that you could search for Apple Podcasts
because some
app.
people might delete it, right, off their app.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go do a search for that.
So let's look. So Apple Podcast, yes. And let me see, does it have a rating? No, you can't do a review for Apple Podcast. Well, isn't that interesting?
You can't?
You cannot submit a review because it's by default. It's loaded on comes with the OS. So the last thing they want is someone doing a 1-star for something that's already preloaded on your mobile device. So it makes sense if I was Apple I'd do the same thing. I would turn off reviews. So
Interesting.
yeah, there I am, not surprised.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't have a review ranking.
Mm-mm. And it says it's 4+ years old.
It is 4+ years old. It's longer than that, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. way longer than that.
Yep. But have been having some meetings with some other distribution points. So, I think, I think that Samsung kind of was a catalyst here and has made some other groups wake up and say, we're out of the ball game. So,
Right. Yeah. There's still more to go.
yeah,
No question about it.
I'm not under any NDA yet, but I'm keeping it in confidence.
Yeah. There's more out there.
I needed that Red Bull in a bad way.
Good.
So I guess that's, again, it's just every day. It's just, if you're reading Pod News and, I know what I was going to say. I talked to, have you heard about the Pod Bible magazine?
No, I haven't heard about this.
So
Pod Bible magazine.
podbiblemag.com. It's a podcast magazine primarily in the UK. And
Pod Bible.
Yeah. And I'll bring it up on the screen.
Magazine.
.mag, not mag. It's podbiblemag, MAG.com. And they're doing a bi-monthly, every 2 months, putting out a new about 80 pages. And here's the crazy thing that they scheduled a meeting with me. I thought we were going to be talking about religion. And I
immediately thought that too. And then I see on the front cover, they have some topics that would, like,
right.
My dad wrote a porno, and I immediately thought, maybe this has nothing to do with religion.
Yeah, nothing to do with religion. So, they got some starter money from Spotify and Acast, and I think Audible is a sponsor. So they talk about content and podcasts. They've done a really, really decent job with this, and the way they started out was they were handing and it's in like. Most people. This is really going to date me. Does anybody know what the A6 paper size is?
I know it. Yeah.
It's maybe it's
a smaller.
You can stick it in your back pocket. If you're wearing some blue jeans, it'll fit in your back pocket, and it may not stick too far out of the top of the pocket.
Right.
So they're printing it in that form factor. I call it the Reader Digest format. It's just that little smaller.
Yeah, it's a smaller.
Yeah.
Right. It's more like a book.
Yeah,
size.
and it's they started out by printing 40,000 copies and handing them out in the subway, and basically till they were gone. And then they got a deal with Sun and a newspaper, so they send it to 85,000 people every 2 months via an insert in Sun, and then they have a digital version of the magazine. It's largely featuring podcast up-and-comers, entertainers, people or celebrities in the UK. And I had quite a good discussion with them. And what blows me away is they have an illustrator for their
covers.
And it's really,
looking at them right now.
It's really impressive. So, and it's not a how-to. It's not I think Acast has done some stuff for them, but it's just really focusing, and their focus has been listeners up to this point. And they have a newsletter. They're doing something similar to what Cridlin's doing. They have a daily, I think it's daily. I haven't signed up for it yet. A daily newsletter. Yep. So I was kind of surprised talking to these folks, and they had reached out on LinkedIn and connected up. And again, when I talked to them, I thought we were going to talk about religion and podcasting and what we could do for their network. And little did I know it was actually a magazine. So, but yeah, pretty cool. Again, it's at podbiblemag.com. It's free. So another offering,
Yeah.
and definitely check it out.
So Todd, have you had any feedback on us not being on Clubhouse?
I've had none, zero. Yeah,
I was wondering about that a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
No one has said anything. So, how about you, audience? Are you?
Are you missing us over there?
Yeah.
Well, they did get a big rumor flying around in the last couple of days about them being valued at 4 billion.
4 billion.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I guess they're looking at another cash infusion, and they're supposed to have another Android app, or have a Android app coming out next month. So
4 billion. Man, if they get 4 billion, congratulations. 4 billion?
yeah, yeah, and I've been also playing around with the Fireside Chat thing too. I got invited to a Asia pod event last night, um, on Fireside Chat. So things are happening on that platform too. So I don't know how that's gonna fit into the mix here. I think it's still a little too early to know. Um,
Don't you think? I got to go back a second here, Rob, before we talk about Fireside more. And Dan Benjamin, sorry. Um,
right. Yeah.
what is the rationale of $4 billion when you're running the audio through a Chinese platform?
I don't think it has anything to do with that, Todd. I think it just has to do with the engagement layer that
But
this app is creating.
do you think in the world we live in today, with all the craziness and human rights violations that the Chinese do, and all the privacy stuff and hacking of American companies, do you really think
Yeah, but
that?
technology isn't really. I don't. I don't know, Todd. I just don't think that the technology sector is really that worried about that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I suppose that they are from a political perspective, but
Well, if
I, yeah.
people are on there all knew that their voice, to
Hmm.
my understanding, is being shipped back to China, and everything they say in there is going back onto Chinese servers, which is my understanding.
Hmm. I don't know,
I
why
guess
is that a problem, Todd?
I guess the world I lived in, and I
Yeah, but
understand the nastiness of the Chinese government. I just don't.
well, yeah, oh yeah, I don't think there's any question on that. I just don't know what, uh, in the bigger picture of things, the is why is that a concern to us that that's happening? Is
well, I
it
guess they
just,
could send an operative in there and record it, but they don't have to do that. It's automated. I don't
are
know.
we thinking that
It just
that could,
bothers me. I guess maybe it's just my prior background
sure,
and
no,
not
I get it.
wanting
No, I get that. Sure.
there's based on my background, I'll never if I ever go to Asia, I'm never going through Hong Kong.
Right.
I'll never go through. I don't trust to go through Hong Kong.
Hmm.
And if I do, I won't take a laptop and I'll take a burner phone.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that the Chinese are shifting to a cryptocurrency here very soon, and they're not going to be exchanging the U.S. dollar anymore,
Well,
which could change the dynamic of the U.S. dollar going forward. But that's a whole
yeah.
geopolitical thing.
Clubhouse released
So
monetization to 1,000 users. So you give 1,000 users money too.
yeah, there's like a buck going here and there. I
Oh,
wouldn't say it's a big deal yet.
okay.
Um,
Eileen
but
says
there's
Fireside is a snooze fest for me. So how was your event that you were on?
Well, they're still in a very, very, I would call it an alpha phase of what they're doing. Alpha slash a little bit of beta. I mean, it's functional, but I wouldn't say that it's functionally complete, by any stretch of the imagination. So it's a it's a little childish at this point. Would be my
Oh,
gut reaction. It's very simplistic. And it's got some advanced capabilities in it. Don't get me wrong. It comes across as rather I mean, like it has a spinning hot dog when you load a page, that kind of, that kind of thing. So, it's trying to be fun and light, I guess, in its view. And it has what it seems like it has a pretty tight kind of connection with music that you can play at the intros of the segments. So it's got kind of a music capability built into it.
Mm.
Um, the audio quality seems to be okay. I guess it depends on the source of the audio. I guess just like with Clubhouse. But one thing it does do quite differently than Clubhouse is that it archives all the things that are recorded over there, and it displays them underneath your profile page. So anything that you've participated in, it shows up as an episode that you participated in.
Yeah, I don't know if I want
Um,
that.
Well, if you're doing a podcast, you kind of want to record
Well,
it, right?
if you're participating in an event and you
Well,
want to go in anonymously,
well, it's a session is what it is. It's not those that are going in and just listening. It's those that have participated in the discussion.
okay, so
Right.
that goes under my profile. I participate in a lot of things that I don't
Mhm.
necessarily want to go underneath my profile.
Right.
I want it
So
to be associated with that, but
yeah, I mean that's part of the level of maturity of the platform. Um, it's not quite there yet.
yeah,
Around being able to select what you show up on your profile page. If it just shows that you're producing, then that's great. But to have that flexibility, I guess, of being able to remove things that maybe you had a very small part in.
well, Rob, you guys need to go out and raise another 25 million and go buy it.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see on that. I don't know that I'm quite wanting to go down that path yet. But who knows? It might be a good investment, Todd, if you look at what happened to Clubhouse, right?
Well, maybe $4 billion.
$4 billion.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I'm finding that I'm not spending as much time over in Clubhouse as I
Oh, it's waning,
used to,
huh?
but that's just only. I mean, I'm popping in there to check it out. I think I am going to be doing a few more things over there. I think going forward as I look to the future, but yeah.
The
I'll say that
notifications
that's
drive me crazy. I accidentally end in Clubhouse rooms 2 or 3 times a day because
just by touching the screen, you can
accidentally.
accidentally pop in.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot happen in the rooms that I've moderated in there, where you see somebody come into the room and then leave really quick.
Right.
They head for the exit, right?
Somehow,
I think I've seen that. Right.
other notifications don't do that to me, but for some reason, maybe they hang on the screen just a little bit too long, and I try to flip the notification away, and boom, I'm
And
in.
it
I'm
pops
in
you
the.
in there, right?
I'm like,
Well, and the Twitter Spaces area at least gives you a staging thing. So it's a little harder because it's not popping up notifications all the
Right.
time. Um, but if you hop into a room in Twitter Spaces, it takes you into a staging experience before you've actually gone into the room. But some of the rooms will ask you if you want to be a speaker or just a listener, and plus you can see what the topic is. Plus you can also see some of the people that are in the room before you actually enter the room.
right.
So, which is different than Clubhouse. Clubhouse, you click a button and you're getting audio and you're right in there and you're showing up in the list and all that stuff. And I think that's part of the problem. I'd like to be able to see the room without actually being seen in the room, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I've just been told that. This is gonna. All right. In the YouTube chat, Haas Film says Edward Snowden is currently live on Clubhouse. That
Right.
is one dude that he caused a lot of people to die. I am not a fan of that individual.
So Snowden is in there, huh?
I am not a fan of that individual. He's a hero to some,
Oh, yeah.
but knowing the job that I had before, yep.
Yeah, I see a room in there that's got 4,200 people in there. But I don't know that he's in there.
Well, someone just mentioned it in the YouTube chat, so
Yeah.
We can talk about. No, we can't talk about that. But
We probably shouldn't talk about that.
no, but I'm not a fan of that individual. So
Right. So, but there's a constant stream of podcasting sessions going on in there all the time.
yep. And
So,
yeah, I because I see it day and night. 1 o'clock in the morning, ding. I'm like, what are people doing at 1 o'clock in the morning in Clubhouse?
well, you have different time zones going on in
Well,
this
it's
thing
people in my time
constantly.
zone that are in there. It's like, what are you doing
Oh,
in
are
there
they
at one
really?
o'clock in the morning?
Well, yeah, right.
But
To some people, that's like when they wake up and start being functional at
uh,
1 o'clock in the
well,
morning.
it's true.
Yeah.
But the true crime podcasters seem to have this a love affair with like 10 to 3 a.m. That's when they
Right.
do all their like club meetings and stuff. I'm like 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting around the house in a true crime community just chat.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always see a lot of activity late at night, and that's because folks from Australia and
Right,
Europe,
right,
and
right, right.
those are actually running rooms.
Yep.
So, and in Asia too, a lot of stuff going on everywhere. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how. I haven't really heard a lot of discussion in the Clubhouse area here lately around the content being done here, taken out and successfully put out as podcasts.
You have
I'm
not
not,
seen?
yeah, I haven't heard people talking about that as much as I think what was talked about just like maybe a month or more ago. And I don't see as many. I'm scrolling through the app right now looking to see if there's any listings in here that show that it's being recorded.
Well, first of all, you got to know how to find the icon to do that.
Yeah, well, it's not hard to do that, but yeah, I just don't see as many people producing their podcasts in Clubhouse
Right.
these days. There's a few people still doing it.
Hmm.
Like we found out, Todd,
Yeah.
it's not really a perfect fit. I mean,
I
it depends on the kind of show you want to
I
produce.
think if you schedule a guest
Right.
with and limit the discussion with the guest having the right mic, it can very well be done easily.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And, maybe you would have to say, please don't raise your hand unless you're on earpods in an environment that's conducive for us doing a recording right now. And,
yeah, I would say probably if we got feedback, and certainly send us your thoughts if you have the time or the desire. I think that this show is probably better not being on there.
yeah.
So,
One thing that is still rearing its head,
mm-hmm.
and we've spent some time responding to. Matter of fact, I still owe some information, is this claim by Buzzsprout on the percentage split between Apple and Spotify.
Oh, yeah. I agree that there's some controversy there around why that split is so much smaller with Buzzsprout.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing that was telling was they only had, I shouldn't say only, but they only had 25 million downloads on Spotify, and they said 100,000 shows, 25 million downloads on Spotify, and 25 million downloads on Apple Podcast. And that to me was bigger news than the announcement it was 50-50.
Yeah.
That to me was, whoa. Not from a only.
Those are pretty small numbers.
Small numbers. Very small numbers for 100,000 show sample. Very, very small.
Yeah.
So I was
Plus,
like,
Todd, Yeah, I think one of the other distinctions between the numbers when I was reading through kind of a detailed breakdown of what Buzzsprout was saying is that I think what they were drawing is a distinction between Apple Core Media as a referrer and the iPhone and the iPod um, based on the Apple Podcast app. So I think what they
Right.
were looking at was the Apple Podcast app and comparing it directly to the Spotify
And if they
app,
did only
right?
that, that's still even more shocking.
Yeah.
That's even more shocking.
Mm-hmm. Because the numbers are so small.
Right. And
Yeah.
I would have never have released the total from the sample size, because I knowing what I know, I can go back now and use math. Well, they're only doing 100 million downloads. They're only doing 100 million downloads on 100,000 shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their bandwidth bill's not very big.
I don't know. I don't, you know.
I guess that's why they can afford to advertise everywhere, because they don't have much of a bandwidth bill.
Right. There's that.
There is that. They
It
can
also doesn't speak to the scale of the content that's hosted on their platform.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You
And
know.
that I think is an interesting adjunct to the discussion of what's going on here. Yeah, I think that doesn't Buzzsprout have a free plan? They do.
I'm
I think they do.
but I again, I was just
There's a lot of shows there. I just wonder if I mean, if you look at the overall numbers that have been coming out lately, sure, there's 2 million podcasts,
right.
but how many of them actually have any episodes in them
Right.
of any consequence, right? I think there's been some numbers come out in Pod News about that.
I was measuring 100 million downloads on 25,000 shows 10 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So, so I'm just
Well, if you have a catalog, or okay, if you have a bunch of shows that are hosted on your platform that are all relatively new, right? I'm
Yeah.
trying to be fair, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to have a lot of expectations. I would say that what's happened with Buzzsprout is probably they picked up a lot of shows during the pandemic window, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you're picking up a lot of new shows, and this applies to Anchor too, so I'm not
Sure,
just not pointing
sure.
out Buzzsprout, then, and if there's a lot of tire kicking going on, people get in there and they try it out. They publish maybe up to 6 or 7 episodes, and then they stop.
Right. Right.
That's going to create a
I've never
a bunch
looked
of
at
shows
I've
that
never
don't have a bunch of downloads.
See, now you just piqued my curiosity. So now I got a homework plan. I got a homework for my
Right.
statisticians. I'm like, go give me those
Right.
numbers.
Right. So it's if you look at the overall numbers though, overall download numbers of the whole industry, and one of the criticism is that
That no one knows what that
there's
total
no
really.
one roll up number for the industry,
Right.
right? So how do we know what's right, what isn't right, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people throwing out there that Spotify is half of Apple, but this little tidbit that we just talked about here kind of paints it in a whole different light.
It's a whole different picture. A whole different picture.
Right. So, I don't know how we can pull this industry together to coalesce data to be able to come up with an industry-wide set of data that's not deceptive, because what's been put out about that situation with Buzzsprout and Spotify and Apple is a little deceptive, right?
I have like ironclad NDA agreements with people on when we give them a report.
Right.
I'll give them a report with percentages minus download numbers, total
Right.
downloads. And if I do it, and again, it's global. It's not for an individual show. We never share in individual shows unless they give us written permission to do so. But when I do the download numbers, including the percentages, that comes with an agreement with incredibly big penalties.
Right.
You know, if you release my, you know, you
Yeah, you
guys,
can't do it on a per
no,
show
no,
basis,
but I still
there's
don't
no reason why
announce
we
it.
can't roll up. Each of the platforms could roll up all their downloads, right?
But no
And
one's
they
gonna
could put
no
it.
one's gonna share that with each other.
Well,
So
it's going to have to go to some central
right,
trust
right,
authority, right?
right.
That is yet to be formed.
That's right. And here's the funny thing. I think you guys announce in your public. You probably of all companies do a public disclosure
Disclosure of that, yeah.
of that.
But we're still careful of what we put out too, because
Right.
it fluctuates, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. So
we don't want to state something that's over what it actually is.
yeah. But it's just to me that was I think I actually said wow on Facebook. I think I was like or I said something and something. What is and I was just like
It makes you go
But it gives me
Yeah.
perspective that I still think Spotify's no more than 10%.
Yeah, the latest numbers from was it February? I think off of Libsyn was about 13% of our downloads.
Yeah, I need to pull it. I was going to give James some breakout just percentage wise. I just haven't had time to do it yet. So
I mean, 13%. Don't get me wrong, 13% is a big.
Yeah,
chunk.
it's big.
I mean,
It's a big chunk.
I mean, if you think of the
of everybody
scale
else.
of Libsyn, right?
Yeah, but
You're talking billions of downloads, so it is a big number. There's no question.
not billions a month, but billions.
No, I didn't say.
Okay,
I didn't say a time period. But it's definitely significantly lower now that we don't have Joe Rogan on.
Oh,
there, so, right.
hey, so yeah, that is one thing. You guys should show a much bigger profit this quarter.
I'm not going to comment on that
because of your bandwidth bill been going down.
Right. Yeah.
And we know Spotify's went up, but I don't think Joe. Joe is not getting as much news as Joe normally gets.
Yeah.
A little more quiet on the Joe Rogan news
front.
Guess
he has to get a little more controversial. That'll get him back in the news again.
The only place I see Joe Rogan now is on TikTok. I see clips being put on TikTok from Joe Rogan.
Keep an eye on TikTok.
Video clips.
I'll just give a little tip. Keep an eye on TikTok.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with TikTok, though. You got a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with TikTok?
No.
There isn't? Okay.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. It's same thing applies. It's going back to the Chinese, but
yeah, right. That's
the content I find stuff on TikTok that I don't find anywhere else. And if you are careful in what you like, you will be fed more of that stuff, more video clips that you'll never see in the news, more stuff that will make you go, why aren't they talking about this? And there's a million people that have hearted something, and yet it's nowhere, not being reported anywhere. You go search for it on Google, you find it, but it's some obscure site buried. So,
I mean, a lot of that TikTok stuff shows up in Instagram too. So
they're kind of interrelated. Most people that are on Instagram have, but I don't hang out on Instagram. So,
plus if you looked at the Edison research that just came out, Mr. Tom Webster, the fastest growing social platform is TikTok.
I have no doubt. Just, for those of you that are not on TikTok yet, I would just tell you that they have actually unequivocally and truly created the world's first time machine.
Well,
No,
Okay.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because you can be casually sitting on your couch
Hmm.
and start going through TikTok, and about 3 hours later, you're like, "Where? What happened? What happened? Where did three
What
hours
happened to my
go?"
day? Where did my day go?
you know.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right. Yeah. No,
I
I
will
get
say
that.
that I am having the most fun on TikTok. I would
Yeah.
say, and I
I'd say if you look to the future, there could be some surprises coming from TikTok.
I'm not signing underneath that NDA.
Yeah. You wouldn't come a quarter mile of that NDA, huh?
I would if they offered it to me,
Yeah. Okay.
but
All right.
interesting. Well, a lot of there's already podcasters on there putting
Yeah.
clips,
Hmm.
so that is, um,
But that's not what we're talking about here. But anyway, that's okay. Hmm.
okay.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm no, you're not. Well, yeah, maybe there's a TikTok for podcast, So,
I
but
don't know.
but
I don't know.
still, but
They're
still,
probably they're probably getting in the social audio space. Who knows, Todd?
they're already doing lives over there. So, but you have to have 1,000 followers to do live.
Yeah, I'm not.
But it's
I'm not
video.
saying that they are. I'm just
Yeah.
saying who knows. I mean, every social platform from Discord
Oh
to
yeah.
Instagram to
They're
you
like,
know
damn it, we missed it. We need to hurry
they're
up.
all
Yeah.
they're all saying that they're going to do something, but we
So
shall see.
this is something that you and I already knew, but and if people listen to the show, should come as absolutely no surprise. So this was not a headline for anyone that listened to the show. Are there really 2 million podcasts? Working with Amplify Media, Pod News checked the numbers. 44% of available podcasts have 3 or fewer episodes. Does a couple of episodes make a podcast? Does that really mean that we only have 880,000 podcasts out there? The number shows with 4 or more episodes. Yep. That's all
Yeah,
there is. We've known this for a while.
yeah. There's nothing new with that. I mean, the number of active shows, the number of shows that have any significant quantities of episodes in them is, a fraction of that number.
80% of those abandoned podcasts are hosted on free podcast websites Anchor, SoundCloud, or Spreaker, which offers a free tree. So 1.2 million.
Well, I think that there's other hosting platforms that are free too. I think Buzzsprout
Podbean has a minimal
and
trial.
Podbean has a free
Yeah.
entry point.
Well,
Right?
you guys give a free trial. We give a free trial. So we all have free trials.
Trials, yeah, that's a limited time frame. Where these other ones,
Yeah.
I guess some of them limited based on a
Minutes.
certain amount of storage,
Right.
or
They get to do
but
like 2 episodes and then they have to delete something, Yeah.
right,
So
right,
truly not a free trial. It's just well, that's
yeah. Then
exactly what it
ours,
is. It's a free trial.
yeah, and then ours is more based on a time frame.
Yeah, ours
So
is
you
too.
can, right, right.
So, but it is interesting, so 1.2 million dead. And again, that's a little unfair too because a lot of podcasts
Well, it's not
are
dead, but it's
they're
not active.
not
Right.
active. But if you look at Apple Podcasts, there's still shows that are quite old in there that haven't created an episode in many years. So,
Right, and Apple is continuing to go in and delete
right.
shows in there too. I think it's at least a few thousand a month are getting dropped.
They've been able to delete more because they've had more submissions. So they were playing that game of this many
Mhm.
submissions, this many deletions. And, we understand why. You can never have fewer podcasts in the directory. That doesn't make good news for investors.
Right. You have to always show growing, but it's been a while since Apple's made any kind of a announcement on their catalog size.
I think they did on
Maybe
there when they went
haven't
over
felt
2
the
million.
need to. What's that?
I think they did when they went over 2 million, didn't they? Or did we
they
miss it?
actually? make a formal announcement of that? I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe Daniel did.
Yeah,
I think he's the one that made the.
Daniel's the Apple announcer now.
Yep. So
It's gotten expensive to get access to his data.
he lowered the price a little bit.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
First offering made me cough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very high. But yeah, I gave him some feedback. I said, listen, this is too much, and I can't justify it. So he has lowered it some. So yeah, I wish him the best of luck. He worked hard at putting that data together.
Oh, I know he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep. That he did.
let's see here. There's news that Wondery is going to try to double their staff.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Well, that's because they're part of Amazon now.
that's right. Open up the floodgates of cash.
And the Podcast Academy is charging forward. We just had a board meeting today,
Oh yeah.
so
Anything you
things
can
are
talk
coming
about?
together for the May Ambi event.
Yeah.
Down in Burbank in Los Angeles.
Is that going
I
to? It's
guess,
going to be virtual though, right?
Mostly, but I think we're going to have probably about 20 or 30 people in attendance.
Oh.
So I think probably some of the board members are going to go out. I don't know if I'm going out or not, but it might be interesting to actually travel.
Yeah. So, Canada, the 4th annual Canadian Podcast Awards are open for nominations. You got till April 30th to get your submission in. Don't know anything about their process there, but you Canadians can also register for the Podcast Awards as well at podcastawards.com. Not that I would know anything about that awards. And full disclosure, I do run that. So yeah. So as you said, lots of stuff moving here, lots of stuff to deconstruct. That's what we're doing here. We deconstructing the podcasting news.
Yeah, pulling it apart piece by piece.
And
so anything else in the news that you saw? Let's see.
Well, the thing I'm really I'll call it my curiosity is piqued. And I'm proud. It just the nerd in me comes out. The podcast app and Lightning client Breeze has partnered with Lightning node provider Voltage, and all of you are like, what is that? It's going to help podcasters earn Bitcoin from their show, but the problem is a Voltage node costs $17.99 a month to run. So there is some scale of economy there. I think ultimately we're waiting for Adam. Hurry the hell up. Get that spec finalized for that particular tag, because my devs aren't going to do nothing until you guys get that tag finalized. I want to play with this. I want to play with this with this Bitcoin thing.
Oh yeah, it does seem like Bitcoin and the NFTs are starting to non-fungible tokens, right? It seems to be popping up more and more in the podcasting business, which I'm not sure that a lot of people are clear on what that is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to take some education. I do know of a couple of podcasts that are starting up to help educate people on that kind of stuff. But it's part of blockchain. It's part of crypto payments, that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
The On Air Fest, Todd, starts tomorrow.
And of course, this weekend is the Pod Fiesta Summit down in Australia. So it's free. So I encourage people to get hooked up with that.
Yeah, and I think that the On Air Fest is streaming live starting tomorrow through the weekend.
So where is that actually being? Is that happening? Is that the one that's going on?
That's a virtual online too. I mean, normally it's been held at a venue in Brooklyn.
So is it more of a? Is it more? It's not. What kind of an event is it?
It's based on kind of like online radio kind of background to it, but it's been part of the creative community, storytelling and things like that out of the New York market for many years. as a place. A Niqua usually does stuff at this event.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot of speakers. It's sponsored by NPR, Sonos, Radiotopia, um, those folks. So that's happening.
Yeah, Sonos, they are right at the very bottom
Vanguard, that's the right
a
word.
podcast adoption. Because
Right.
you can listen to podcasts on Sonos, but I think they're like 125 of 127 last month. So I did get a little chuckle out of that.
Well, Todd, I wonder if we're going to start to see growth in the smart speaker
I don't think
platforms.
so.
I know. I mean, you saw the new eyeglasses that Amazon's making now, right?
I
With it built in.
I think it's early days.
I agree with you. It's definitely early days. No question.
How you think about how you're use. I know how I use my smart home device. Hey, Alexa,
Hmm.
play jazz or
Right.
80s rock, or I listen to music on it. I don't get news bites. I don't have it set to wake me up. Maybe some of my phone wakes me up. And I don't even have an alarm clock anymore. I was notorious for years of having alarm. My phone wakes me up now. It doesn't.
Well, I think that a lot of people are underutilizing their Siri.
Well, oh, she is junk.
I think she's getting better.
Google's got them beat hands
Oh
down.
yeah. Oh no, I'm not. Yeah. I think yeah.
And
It's the lesser of the two of the main players,
and
right?
Siri has made me angry lately because I'll say, "Hey Siri, directions to." It says you're driving at the moment. I can't give you directions. I'm just like, isn't I'm hands free, and I'm sorry if I just triggered your phones. I
No, you didn't. Right.
well, if
Not
you're
mine
listening on a
anyway.
speaker, but
That's
it's
true.
just like, why?
Group listening, Todd. That's if they're listening on speaker, that must be group listening, right?
But why? I'm not typing. I'm telling the stupid thing to give
Right.
me directions somewhere
Right.
safely while not taking my eyes off the road. And it tells me I can't do that because you're driving.
Right.
I'm
Todd,
like,
you're not supposed to be thinking about anything else other than the road.
so I have to wait till I get to a stoplight or a stop sign, and then very
Right.
quickly. That's more dangerous than.
You can't multitask with your brain, Todd. Sorry. You're not allowed.
But I will say that from voice to text, oh, Google's got to be by more than 50%.
Yeah, I don't really have too many devices with the Google Home stuff.
So
So
I have an Android and an iPhone,
mhm.
and
It's just
it's
so much
just
better,
better.
huh?
And it's sad. And if you have never experienced an Android phone, you got a big surprise if you once you get over there and start using one, actually using it in the same functionalities you tried to use an iPhone. I'm still I'm right there. That's my primary phone.
I've got a couple of Google Android tablets, but they're not any kind of primary driver for me.
So, and my car will do Android Auto or Apple Auto, either one or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just have a better experience. But it's what do I listen to podcast on? I still listen on my iPhone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that the voice driven smart agent technologies is still nascent. It's still very early days.
My TV gets screwed up the most. There'll be a YouTube video playing, and it'll just pause,
Oh,
and Google Home on the bottom will have popped up.
okay. So the TV actually hears
Your
the
TV
sound
hears
and activates.
yep, and it
Okay.
activates. And then of course my Alexa device is sitting right next to my TV, and periodically it gets triggered. Now the device that gets triggered the most in my office is the I've got the I don't know what it is. It's the Apple. Uh, it's the cube that's the player.
It's yeah.
What is that thing
Okay.
called? HomePod or whatever it's called.
HomePod, right?
Yeah, that thing
Or
starts.
Siri.
I don't even say nothing, and it starts playing music.
It's reading your mind.
It's just and I turn my head and I'm like, hey, SIRI, stop. It's like,
Right.
why did that start playing? Just in nothing. I guess on the, I'm tapping on my keyboard. Must be it interpreted what I was saying on my keyboard as a command to start playing music. I don't know.
Must be.
And it always runs home to mama to one specific song in my Apple Music playlist. So they are listening. All these devices are listening.
So, did you see was it a 3-day virtual event that Ed from the Podcast Business Journal is putting on? It's time to make real money podcasting.
Yeah, I'm going to be
that?
speaking at that. So is your cohort, Rob Walsh. We're both going to be speaking on that in July.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know exactly what we're speaking on. We've been asked to speak, but I think Rob and I are going to be on the same panel together.
Oh, cool. All right. Okay, I see. Okay, I see your name listed on here.
So
that's good.
But
looks like David Plotz from CityCast is going to be there, so we can prod him a little bit about what he's doing with CityCast.
So it's and they're advertising that both to their radio list and their podcast list. Mm-hmm. So Podcast Business Journal also has a radio business journal. So maybe we'll see some pickup on that from some radio folks.
So I saw Dan Franks' image in here. I should get him to join us on the show these days. Give us an update on what's happening with Podcast Movement.
Yep.
People, I think their speaker submissions wrapped up.
Oh, it's wrapped up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I submitted 2 personally.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. This new series I'm doing right now is really getting some good traction. So I'm hoping they get picked up for that. But we'll see. You never know. Some of those sessions are, how should we say it, are pretty full. They're going to have lots and lots and lots of submissions to some of those tracks.
Oh yeah.
So I picked 2 tracks. One track that might be easier to get into than the other.
Mm-hmm.
None of us are guaranteed a spot. It's just, we have to put together a good enough proposal, and
sure,
they only have so many slots. I'm sure they get 10,000 applications to speak.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what he does because I know he's told me that he's going to do a hybrid event, which means that there's going to be online stuff and then there's going to be in-person stuff. So
how many of you are not going to go that are listening to this? How many of you decided because of COVID you're not going to Podcast Movement?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm sure Dan Franks would like to know the answer to that too.
So this is April. So April, May, June, July, August, September. So the Moderna folks have said that their vaccine right now is still showing prevention 6 months out. So
right.
Still protecting people at the 6-month mark. So at least the Moderna folks will have protection through, if depends on when you get the shot. Some of you maybe have gotten it earlier than others, but for the most part, probably majority of people haven't gotten the shot, at least in the 30 and up in age group, starting in the beginning of April. So, because I think they opened it up to 18 plus here in Michigan on April 1st or something, whatever the date was. So, if they're saying that the shot is going to protect you, I guess if you have the vaccine, and I know not everyone's going to get the vaccine, and that's your choice. I think people should feel pretty safe. I don't know what Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer and all those other people are going to say, but I'm chomping at the bit. I'm ready. I'll go. If it was tomorrow, I would go. because it just feels to me it's like time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking. And it's like into the future. Let's go. We need
Right.
we need
Right.
to get back in
What's the
front of
first
people.
event? What's the first event that you're gonna pop out to? You think?
First, hey,
Is it
send
gonna
me
be podcast movement? Is it gonna be podcast movement?
no.
Or be something sooner?
Hey, invite me out to the Ambies. I'll come out to the Ambies.
I just need a reason.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Now, obviously it's one of those situations where, I may have team
Yeah.
members that may know. I'm not forcing anybody to travel.
Right.
That's going to be on
Sure.
them if they want to go. But I want to open, at some point
Right.
we have to get back to normal.
Yeah. Well, or some level of normal anyway.
I want to be at the 90% level.
Right.
I want to be able to, and I know this is not going to happen in August, but I want to go to the trade show and not have to wear a mask. If we've been vaccinated, we shouldn't have to wear a mask, but that's not the current thing. So, we'll comply with whatever the event requires, just like anyone else. But it's,
You're ready.
I'm
tired of
talking like this.
You're ready.
It's some people, I hate to say it, I have gotten to the point where I've had, can you please speak up? I can't hear you.
Right.
In somewhere. And people get pissed. I'm like, I can't hear you through your mask. I'm sorry. And I have decent hearing. I'm not that old yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think it's coming.
I think, by July,
Mhm.
June, July, people should start feeling, But I'm in a state that's still half locked down still, too. So, and we've got the fourth largest number of new infections, and we're still locked down. So,
I haven't
obviously,
gotten my shot either. So
obviously, no one is paying attention because the infections are up. Lockdown or not, people are still catching this thing. So lockdown is not helping. You're locked down and you are still getting infections, then it's useless at this point.
right, that's true. Yeah, that's.
Of course, I'm going to get. You're not a doctor. No, I'm not.
Right.
The opinions are
Well,
the opinions are of my own.
Yeah, Todd, have you been taking a lot of vitamin D and zinc?
No,
and that kind of stuff.
I
too?
just take a multivitamin.
Okay.
I really did not take anything extra out of the ordinary besides my normal GNC multivitamin and sometimes a little more vitamin C. I think I have zinc as part of my normal routine in my multivitamin. So
probably, yeah. Yeah, I take a separate zinc, and I take a vitamin D tablet, and I take a vitamin C tablet every day. I've been doing it for over a year. I haven't been sick since podcast Evolutions.
But I've been on a multivitamin regime for 10 years. So for me, this is nothing new.
Right. Yeah.
Too much.
You're getting everything you need there. That's
well,
good.
But like I said, I think I had this thing in August. I never went to the doctor, but who knows?
Yeah, I had a blood test and didn't have any antibodies in it, so I never caught it. I've never had it. So
yeah, I'd like to get the antibody test. So
yep.
If I go to Hawaii, my kids, all right. So my kid graduates May 21st at Aloha Stadium, and I'm sorry I'm bringing this up in the show, folks, but there's 400 in his class to graduate. That would be 800 parents. 32,000 seats is, I think, what the Aloha Stadium will seat, but yet they're still not letting the parents observe the graduation.
Really?
So 800 parents.
You can't separate everybody.
Well, they refuse to. They just said you can't come.
Oh, wow.
They're not even going to try.
Going to be video streamed, or they're going to, you don't know? Okay.
So I'm going to go back to Honolulu for that and probably have a drive-by party because that's probably what we're only going to be allowed to have. That's what we did in Michigan last year for my sister's son. They
Tailgate party, huh?
well, no, people drove.
Not even that.
They
Just
drove up.
literally drove through.
They drove through. Right.
Right.
Pass the
Yep.
card, give a treat or whatever, and
Crack the window down a little bit.
yeah.
Right?
So I think this year it'll be. Well, that's exactly what it was. They cracked the window down, and
Right.
So, but yeah. So I'll be going back to Hawaii, and if I do, I have to get a COVID test. So maybe I'll be able to swing an antigen test at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's good to take one. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready. Is everybody else ready? You guys ready to, Us down in Florida, Rob. You got to take a. Why don't you take a couple of days and go down to Florida for a couple of days?
There you go.
You should go down to Tampa or go down to Orlando and just have a little hotel stay. You're gonna get off the airplane and you're gonna go like, freedom.
Freedom. Yeah. Well, as long as you're outside, you should be good, right?
Everywhere you should be good, regardless of where you're at. If you're in Florida or wherever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm just be frank. I'm kind of over it. And I don't get me wrong. I understand there's people that have died and suffered, and don't get me wrong. You feel sadness for them, and what has been inflicted upon the whole world. People, the rest of the world are still suffering, incredibly.
Right.
So I guess I have no room to complain. Maybe I'm being considered insensitive, but yeah, I'm just kind of over it. I think we all are to an extent.
I definitely think that we basically, both of us went through this pretty unscathed. So I feel pretty fortunate.
Oh, I absolutely. Where others have been devastated, Right here in my local community, it's just business after business after business after business is gone.
Right.
Restaurants and there wasn't a lot of restaurants here to begin with, gone. But yet people can't hire people for whatever reason. So that's got me completely baffled.
Yeah.
I talked about in the early part of the show. So anyway, did we just lose a whole bunch of people?
I think so. I think we got off the.
Yeah, that's a reservation here at the end.
Right. That's okay.
All right. Well, we're done. It's already an hour and a half, so we stretched it out. We made the cut.
We made it to the finish line. Yeah.
But yes, I'll be at Podcast Movement.
I'm going to be there too.
Okay, good.
And who knows? I might even come out for the Ambie Awards. So who knows? I don't know what I'll do out there, but we'll see.
Gotta figure out tie it into some business meeting. Go. But who's doing business meetings? Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Todd at Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com, at Geek News on Twitter. Rob?
I'm on Twitter as well, at Rob Greenlee. And you can send me an email if you want, robg@libsyn.com. Happy to hear from you, hear any little tidbits that you want to share about what's going on in the industry. And look for me a little bit more over on Clubhouse, and I'm going to be playing around with these social audio platforms. So there's stuff that'll probably be brewing on Fireside Chat, and I'll pull you into it too.
All right. So here's the thing: you can tell us, and we won't reveal your name.
Yes. Tell us if you're under NDA too.
No. Oh, well, no. Please, I don't want to be involved in any lawsuit. If you're under NDA, please keep that to yourself. Right. All right. That's it. That's all I got. We'll see you on Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Whoops. Hang on. One thing things for sure. This new system that Twitter set up, it's easy to end the events.
Oh, good.
Yeah.